Okay, good morning. My name's Chief Carter. I'm the Training Division Chief for Salt Lake City Fire Department, and I want to welcome everyone here today at this graduation ceremony for Class 45. This is truly a unique graduation. We've never attempted one like this before, so I just wanted to let everyone know watching from the live stream to be patient as we move groups in and out of the classroom for different portions of the graduation. And I also wanted to thank our technology division for Salt Lake City Fire. They've done a great job making this graduation ceremony possible. Today's program will go as follows. We'll first hear remarks from Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, followed by Chief Bassett from South Davis Metro Fire. Then we'll hear from Chief Klein from Sandy Fire Department. And then last, Chief Lieb from Salt Lake City Fire Department. We'll proceed to that point. Thanks.
Hello, Recruit Class 45. I know I join your family, your friends, and the entire Salt Lake City Fire Department when I say how proud I am that you are graduating from training today, and how glad I am that Salt Lake City's firefighters now have some of you joining their ranks. It is a joy for me that my job responsibilities entail interacting with the amazing members of the Salt Lake City Fire Department. While I wish we could all be together today celebrating your incredible achievement in person, I know that when this pandemic is over, we will find a way to mark this occasion. There's a common refrain that you hear from firefighters on the evening news after they've accomplished some heroic feat. When asked how they were able to be calm and brave in the face of great danger, they nonchalantly say, "I just relied on my training," or "I've been training for this moment every day of my career." The real work of saving lives is not accomplished only in the moment of crisis, but in the training you've completed, where firefighters learn to communicate, to trust, and to execute techniques in a controlled training environment, a time when those skills can be repeated over and over until they're exactly right. I've had a chance to experience just a tiny sliver of what your training is like during a few hot hours suited up at the training facility, up in the tower, and at the top of a ladder truck. But my favorite times there have been while at Camp Athena. As firefighters from Salt Lake City and other departments around the Wasatch Front volunteer to help train dozens of young women over the course of a couple days, I have seen the light in their eyes flicker with the recognition that the Salt Lake City Fire Department values them and believes in their individual potential to be anything they want to be, perhaps even someday a future fire chief or mayor. You join the ranks of firefighters around the world during a time when your communities need you more than ever. You're a beacon of safety, a symbol of hope, and the work and sacrifices you will make for your community are invaluable. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your dedication to protecting people and working for our communities. So again, thank you and congratulations.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bassett, the Fire Chief of South Davis Metro Fire. And to all of you in Recruit Class 45, I want to say congratulations on a job well done. Over the last several months, you've been working very hard to get to this point. You all should celebrate this moment as a great achievement in your career in the fire service. But now as you go on to your respective departments, I want you to think about the type of legacy you're going to leave behind. And what I mean by that is people will know you by your name and your attitude and your work ethic. And I want you to think about, what does that mean to you? Do you want to be known for someone that sits in the recliner all day? Or do you want to be known as someone that's dedicated to the job, dedicated to their profession, and is working as hard as they can and training as hard as they can to keep their skills on target? And that's what you're going to need throughout this long profession. Again, congratulations. We look forward to seeing all of you in your careers as you move forward in this new adventure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klein, the fire chief here in Sandy City. I'd like to thank Chief Lieb and your staff for allowing us to be a part of this great Recruit Academy again. I'd like to also thank the training division and all the instructors that participated in training these recruits. Most importantly, I'd like to thank the families and spouses who supported these recruits for the last 16 weeks. Without you, I don't think any of them could have made it through this academy. It's a lot of hard work. I know they would come home at the end of the day tired and worn out with still 3 or 4 hours ahead of them of studying. So again, thank you. I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about the bell that is on top of many fire stations in the country and that sits on the bumper of fire trucks and fire engines throughout this valley. This is a talk that I got from a graduation back in 2009 from the Fayetteville Fire Academy. I'm going to read most of this. How does a bell come to be? To have a good quality sound, a bell is cast from a mix of metals and the process is very interesting. First, a variety of individual ores are placed in a smelter to be refined. The smelter heats the ore and the impurities are burned away. When you started the recruit class, you were that raw ore. You came from different states, cities, and different backgrounds. Regardless of where you had come from, you'd come to this place to become a firefighter. So the heat was applied to you in a form of weekly tests, physical training, classes like PPE, ladder evolutions, and live fire training, to name a few. Like the metals, you were being refined. When the individual metals for the bell alloy are ready, they're combined again using heat to create the final alloy, but the bell still hasn't been made yet. Throughout your long training, you were combined to function as a team, working towards our finished product, a firefighter. Now comes the casting of the bell. Even though it gets poured into a shape of a bell, there is still more work to be done. It must be hammered, trimmed, drilled, and tested. Like the bell, you were trimmed by even more PT, more fire training, more live fire training, extrication, more book work. You were hammered and tested by the staffs themselves in rapid intervention and fire survival. Lastly comes the plating of the bell, which, like you, once applied, must be polished to its final shine. At this point, the final task of attaching the clapper and the eagle are now the final finish. The bell is in its time went on to serve on an engine and maybe even on top of a fire station. You, like the bell, are now ready to serve. It has been long, tough, and a hot process, but today you will receive your badges. Atop of your badge are eagles, which will serve as a final reminder of your time here. You have been forged by instructors and academy officers. Your strengths were honed, your weaknesses burned away, and the concept of teamwork and serving with respect hammered into you. During your career, like the life of a bell, you will be there for the citizens and your co-workers in good times and bad. Each time you use your training, you will grow, and then you will share your experiences with those that will come after you. To have a bell ring clear, it requires precise and precision, craftsmanship, and forging, and the bond of so many metals brought together and forged. Your bond in training has forged you in the fire that can never be broken. You have formed a bell that I call the brotherhood. Work hard to keep your bell polished. Never stop training or learning. And don't let anything ever tarnish your bell or the badge that you wear on your chest. Who would have thought 16 weeks ago we'd be masking up to go on calls, wearing gloves, gowns, and going on people that have nowhere else to turn except to the fire departments, the paramedics, the EMTs. What an honor it is to serve our citizens. You'll have that opportunity shortly to climb onto an engine maybe onto an ambulance to go out and serve the community. Be safe. I congratulate you to a job well done. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a graduation of Recruit Class 45. I want to thank Mayor Mendenhall for taking the time to say some kind words about our recruit class. And I want to thank two chiefs, Chief Klein and Chief Bassett, for their comments also. Thanks for joining us today. I want to welcome all family and friends of our recruits today. You're obviously an integral part of what has been accomplished, and I'm glad you're with us. I'm sure we have firefighters online or in front of their computers watching today's events as well. So welcome chiefs, firefighters, captains who've joined us. These are great days. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us. So here we are, it's graduation day. It's a little bit different here for class 45, but nonetheless, we've persevered, we've gotten through it, we've adapted, which is what we do in the fire service. You know, these are interesting times for us here in Salt Lake City, as it is around the country and around the world. But this is what we do. You know, we see challenges, we innovate, we're creative, and we make things happen. So I don't want class 45 to be referred to as the COVID class, because they're not. They're recruit class 45. And just like all those classes that came before them, they demonstrated the will, the commitment, and the perseverance to get through recruit school and become professional firefighters. So kudos to you, recruits. Glad you're here. Becoming a professional firefighter is not easy. All of us have been through it, and many of you watching on the screen today have been through it as well. But many of you family members and spouses and friends and loved ones probably don't have the same perspective about recruit school that the recruits do. In fact, I know that you don't. It's tough to be a professional firefighter. We challenge these individuals, both mentally and physically. We push them to their limits. They know everything from fire attack to ventilation to vehicle extrication to forcible entry. I mean, they're skills that they're going to use, and they're varied because we never know what we're going to respond to. But it's 16 weeks of really hard, stressful work, and we put them there on purpose. We want to see how they perform when they're under stress, because lo and behold, the way the world is right now, we don't know what we're getting into. They have to be prepared for everything, and they've done it. But I want to thank those people at home that supported the recruits. They needed your support. They came home beaten, tired, exhausted, and probably pretty stressed out about what's coming next week. And you had to endure that. You were there, you listened to them, you probably left them alone when they wanted to be left alone, and you engaged with them when they needed some support and they just needed someone to talk to. So thanks for being there. You're an integral part of the success of this class. It's very important. So recruits, soon you're going to be headed out to your first station at your respective department, either in Salt Lake City or South Davis or Sandy. Good for you. We are all excited for you. And you should be excited as well. I want you to continue to learn. I want you to become better at what you do. We've only given you just a portion of the skills you're going to need when you start responding to real calls in the public. I want you to become specialized if that's your interest. If you're not already a paramedic, you're not already a heavy rescue technician or a hazmat technician, seek those out. Look for more experience. Look for more training. Become an invaluable asset to your organization. Most importantly, I want you to know your capabilities, but understand your limitations. You're about to be sworn into one of the most noble and respected public service roles in this country. But notably, it is also one of the most dangerous. Don't take public, yourself, or your fellow firefighters for granted. You need to constantly be aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it. As a fire chief, as any fire chief will tell you, our number one priority is the safety of the public that we serve and our firefighters. And unfortunately, a lot of that is beyond our control. This is a dangerous job. What we do control is how we train, how we go about our business, and the environment that we work in. Sometimes factors and circumstances present themselves that, we just don't know what's going to happen next, and unfortunately, tragic things can happen. But if we concentrate and we watch out for each other, and we take care of each other, not just on a fire scene, but on the freeway and during a worldwide pandemic, we can all go home, which is a priority for all of us, all the time. When I first spoke with you 16 weeks ago, as a class, you're an eclectic group. We had experienced firefighters. We had some firefighters who had no idea what this career was like. We had some paramedics, we had EMTs, we had individuals with no medical experience whatsoever. We had some legacy firefighters whose fathers or mothers were part of the fire service previously. And they know some of what goes on in the fire service, but probably not exactly what it's like day to day. So I told you about the benefits of this job, and there are many. I told you about the expectations of this job. There are equally as many. We talked about what happens, what's the priorities, why is it important to serve the public? And it's all about trust, right? That's what we talked about 16 weeks ago. Never compromising that trust we have with the public. They're expecting us to come, they're expecting us to know what we're doing, and they're expecting us to make the situation better. We also talked about what are the values? What are the values of the fire service? What are your values personally? This is what happens to most firefighters when they go out. It's just the logical chain of events. You enter your first fire station, you become accustomed. You become accustomed to what's happening, you're comfortable with the people around you, and eventually you think you've reached your peak as a firefighter. You've never reached your peak. Next thing that occurs is you end up feeling like you're not vulnerable, and you're always going to be vulnerable. A little bit later, you're going to start wondering if anybody's recognizing the job you're doing. Does anybody notice what we're doing day after day, hour after hour, month after month, on holidays, weekends? Is anybody noticing? Because I'm not hearing any thank yous. Well, there isn't always going to be someone there to thank you to do that. And then eventually, soon after that, you might find yourself becoming tired of going on calls where you don't think you're really making a difference. Well, if you get to that position, you're wrong on all 4 counts. You're a professional now. The expectation is that you continue to develop both personally and professionally. The expectation is you prioritize your own safety and the safety of those around you. The expectation is also that you remain grounded, you remain humble, and you remain motivated. That is the job, and now you're prepared to do it. Congratulations, Recruit Class 45, for graduating, for being successful, and for wanting it. And good luck to each one of you. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to take a few minutes and first congratulate all of you for being here today. So this is a big deal that you're here. You've worked your butts off for the last 15 weeks, and congratulations to you. We're really proud of you and really excited to watch you grow throughout your career. This is a very hard, challenging 15-week program, and the program is challenging by itself, and then on top of that, for this particular class, we throw on top an earthquake with aftershocks that we were all here for and remember. And then COVID-19 shows up, and we have to deal with that. And you all have managed to stay healthy, positive, and you've continued to support your families at home, and they've continued to support you as well. And you've worked together, and you've made it to this day. So we're so proud of you. As a training division, we're so happy for you, so proud of you, and just excited to look forward to your future. All right? I also just want to take a few minutes. There's a lot of people involved in making these classes happen, and I want to take a few minutes and thank all of them. First, I want to say thank you to Salt Lake City, South Davis Metro, and Sandy Fire Department chiefs and their executive staffs. They're not these schools, like I mentioned, they're not easy to administer, especially this one, and we just appreciate the support and the just the continued commitment that they have to this program and to make it successful. Last, I just want to thank just everybody involved. First, the training staff for Salt Lake City Fire Department, starting with Captain Jepson. He put together an awesome class, and you all graduating here today are prove that. And so he did a great job with this, and I want to say thank you to him. And I'm just going to read the rest of these. There'll probably be some I miss, so I apologize, anybody out there, if we miss you. Captain Daly, Captain Menlove, Captain Kaditz, Firefighter Fitzgerald, Engineer Pierce, PPE Coordinator Jordan Doms, Office Facilitator Gina Bell, Engineer Sorensen, Firefighter Dirkmott, Chief Shoup, Captain Argyle, Chief Norris, Chief Bullock, Engineer Hale, and all of our guest instructors that came out to support the program and to teach and train all of you is what made this class a success, and I just want to thank everybody. Once again, congratulations to all of you, Class 45. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Jepson, who's got some remarks and also going to do some recruit introductions.
Morning, 45. Morning, sir. One last time. For those of you that don't know, that's how we start every morning in recruit school. 7 a.m., on the line, in workout clothes, ready to go. Thank you for your hard work for the last 15 weeks. You guys have earned the right to no longer be recruit firefighters. You're now probationary firefighters. Made it through some tough times. Corona, earthquake, rain, snow, sleet, heat, tidal waves, no matter what, you guys showed up every day and worked hard. You've earned this. Enjoy your day. Okay? I'd like to thank all of your families for their support. Would have been a lot harder 15 weeks without them here to support you. When you got home, cooking you dinner, allowing you to study, getting you up in the morning, getting your butt to work on time. So thank you for your support to your recruits. I'd like to give special thanks to my cadre. They were excellent throughout class. Our training staff out here, especially Captain Menlove, who stepped into class in the middle of class and was able to not miss a beat and help with the rest of recruit school. And our PPE coordinator, Jordan Doms, who no matter what, kept you guys in safe, functional PPE throughout the 15 weeks. I'd also like to give a big thanks to our logistics division, Captain Sharp, Engineer Mumity, and Wes Hugo for always giving us apparatus to use on the drill ground, no matter what the case may be. Thank you, guys. Without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our first adjunct and get some attention turned to the recruits where the attention belongs. Up first will be Engineer Derek Sorensen from Station 9.
So I just want to take a quick second and say congratulations to each of you. It's probably the toughest 15 weeks you'll have in your life, and you made it through it, and you survived, and you made it fun. And I appreciate the opportunity to spend that time here with you. I've got 4 introductions of recruits. I'm going to start with Recruit Trevor Nuttall. Yeah, they all look the same in masks today. So. Recruit Nuttall came to us with some previous experience, and there were times that really showed. Our single-man evolution especially. He not only made it through with a good time, but it was very clean, very few mistakes, very few errors. That experience shined at that point. There were other times when it might not have been so much. One of the first days, we were doing Supply 1 evolution, and with the size of the class, we were kind of limited to what we could do apparatus-wise, so we had just taken a length of hose and attached it to the hydrants with caps on it so they could just keep getting repetition after repetition. And we had finished up for the day, and we were cleaning up, and I was on one end of the drill ground, and I looked down, and I noticed Recruit Nuttall trying to roll out the LDH hose to drain it. And he was rolling it uphill, and I was kind of chuckling. I thought I'd go down and give him a little bit of grief about it. And as I got closer, I noticed the hose was under pressure. There was a lot of water still in there. And he's rolling this thing for all he's got. And as I cleared the corner of the building, I just started to smile. And I looked at Nuttall and I said 2 things. 1, let gravity do the work for you. And 2, take the cap off the end of the LDH hose when you're trying to roll it out. But that's not my proudest Recruit Nuttall moment. After about 9 weeks of PT every day, running drill after drill after drill, Nuttall finally learned how to do a push-up. I can't explain it to you. It's something you have to see for yourself. But you might not get to see that anymore because he's actually doing them right. So, Nuttall, congratulations. Well done. Next up, recruit Chad Anderson. Anderson had a rough start to class. He broke everything. Broke everything from a shovel to engine 4. And we were without engine 4 until about 2 weeks left in class. He did it right. I mean, if you're going to break it, you go big, right? So he recovered nicely. I'll give him that. He never let it bother him. Never gave up on anything. He just kept pushing. And the thing that always impressed me the most about Recruit Anderson was it didn't matter what we asked him to do. There was no questions. There was no concern. Nothing rattled him. He just went and did it. And that was never more obvious than in the SCBA maze that we set up. It's a series of obstacles that they have to go through full gear, on air, and they have to negotiate these obstacles as they come through or to them. Some of those require removing your pack, maybe figuring out different ways to negotiate those. And I got to watch a lot of the recruits go through it, and there was some very vocal frustrations at times from some of them. There was some obvious physical frustrations as things got thrown or launched across the room. And Recruit Anderson never made a peep. You heard his breathing, just this steady breathing as he went through. He found an obstacle, he dealt with it, he went through it, finished up, got outside, took his mask off like it was nothing, and just went back to what he was doing before. Keep that attitude up. Okay? Don't let things rattle you. Don't let them bother you. I look forward to being able to work with you. Well done. Congratulations. Recruit Kevin Dupree. Recruit Dupree was another one who came in with some experience. And that showed at times also. But what I noticed the most with Recruit Dupree, he seemed to kind of be the voice of reason. When the class got frustrating, when people were struggling, he kind of always brought it back down to earth and kept things mellow and enjoyable. And that showed the most, I think, about halfway through class when he got notification that his sister had passed away. And it was obviously a difficult time for him, and he struggled, and it showed. But the next morning, during workout, he asked if he could take a minute, and he stepped up, let the class know what was going on, let them know that he was okay, that he was hurting, but that if he needed anything, he'd ask. And I think that speaks volumes to your character, Dupree. And I appreciated that. I'm sure your class appreciated it also. So keep that up. Stay away from rubbish hooks. It may have been another thing that got destroyed during class. But I look forward to working with you also. Congratulations. I was going to make a Harry Potter joke about him, but he has a mask on, so you really can't tell. So, and last but not least, Recruit Scott Haney. Recruit Haney is one of those rare natural leaders. He was always the guy you could hear on the drill ground. During PT, we're doing jumping jacks or push-ups, and he's always the guy you can hear counting. And he was always that motivating voice when people started to struggle. If one of the crews had a particularly rough evolution and they were doing push-ups or whatever else, he was always the first one to drop down, start doing push-ups with them, finish their workout, motivating them and pushing them through. And I know that was appreciated by his class. Probably one of the hardest workers in the group. If you wanted to find Haney, you could always find him doing the hardest work. Whatever the chore was, you were going to find him there. And a good example of that, during Wildland Week, we had what's called the pack test. So it's a 45-pound weighted vest, you have 45 minutes to do 4 laps around the block. And we had South Davis Metro brought in weighted vests, Sandy brought in weighted vests. We had ours, and we still didn't have quite enough. And Haney volunteered to bring his own pack, so we thought, all right, cool. So he loaded up, they started doing their walk, and we're watching him as he's going. It's like, man, that pack looks heavy. I mean, it looks heavy. And they finished up, and he was toward the front, still, even with that pack, and he set it down, and I walked over and picked it up, and that thing had to have been 70 pounds. He had fusies in it, he had water, he probably had weights in it just for fun, but that was just kind of how Haney was. He was always just gonna work. He was gonna push hard, and he was gonna get through it, and he was gonna have fun and make it enjoyable. Congratulations, Haney.
Thank you, sir.
Have a seat, guys.
Okay, our next adjunct is Captain Trent Argyle, South Davis Metro Fire, Station 81.
Class 45, hey. Let me first just say congratulations to each and every one of you. Very well deserved. You guys worked very, very hard. So strong work on that, okay? Okay, let's get right to the introductions. Owen Van Norman. Owen came from previous fire experience, Ogden Fire, correct? This showed on the drill ground and academically. Owen had earned some of the highest test scores in class, so good job with that, strong word. He also came into the academy in great shape and is leaving in even better shape. Owen was the fastest mile and a half coming into the academy and was the fastest mile and a half going out of the academy. He pushed hard, he worked hard, and shown great improvement in his fitness evaluation, so good job with that. Owen was quiet to start, as we all told him. But he had good growth and shown some great leadership skills while on the drill ground. He's very respectful. He's nice. He's a good teammate and very professional. Those are all good traits to have in the fire service. However, there were a couple times during evolutions that I found myself at the end of his water streams. I still haven't quite figured out if this was on accident, bad timing, or payback for all the up and overs. Even though you did manage to get me wet, we appreciated all your hard work and the good traits you brought to class. So congratulations, Owen, on getting through Class 45 Fire Academy. Trent Christensen. Everybody knows your name. So, we're going to talk about that. Trent came into this academy and I believe was one of the first ones to earn his nickname. I couldn't convince the rest of the cadre that he already had the coolest name, Trent. And those of you that don't know, I am Trent. So we come up with a new name, someone that he looked like, someone well known by many. We told Trent who he reminded us of. He laughed and was a good sport about our thoughts. A couple days later, we were still trying to learn all the recruits' names, asking them as they passed. When we asked Trent his name, he responded with, "Pablo, sir." We immediately liked him and knew he had a great sense of humor. So from that point on, he was now referred to as Pablo. After watching Trent, seeing how hard he worked and how his previous fire experience showed, we grew to like him even more. Trent pushed himself. He pushed himself as hard as anyone in this class. With all that hard work he put in, Trent was able to lose more weight than anyone in class. And he knocked off 3.5 minutes from his mile-and-a-half run. He showed significant improvement in all his fitness evaluations, So great job on all your hard work and accomplishments throughout the academy, and congratulations, Trent, on getting through Class 45 Fire Academy. Christian Lavender. So, for Christian, I have kind of a cool story that shows how things can come in a full circle. Christian, like me, has a dad in the fire service. My dad has now retired out of the fire service and moved on to bigger and better. But many years ago, my dad was able to hire Kyle Lavender, who is Christian's father. I would dare say that my dad had a positive impact on Kyle as a new firefighter for South Davis and was someone he could look up to. 18 years ago, I was then hired as a new firefighter with South Davis. Kyle was there to help teach me and show me the way as a new firefighter. He was someone that had a positive impact on me and was someone I could look up to as a new firefighter. So here we are today, and I have now had the opportunity to try and make that same impression for Christian in his new career as a firefighter. So I hope I have succeeded in that. Christian never gave up. Even when he injured his foot, and it was twice the size of his other foot, he continued on. Sore foot and all, Christian would squeeze his boots on and limp from one end of that fire drill ground to the other, and wouldn't miss out on any of the academy. So great job on pushing through the pain, and congratulations, Christian, on getting through Class 45 Fire Academy. Carson Smith. Attitudes are contagious. This is something that I told probably every single recruit in here, including Karsten. Karsten would always show up with a positive attitude. He pushed hard, he worked hard, and he did all of this with a smile on his face throughout the whole academy. Occasionally, I would overhear him speaking with other recruits about how much fun he was having. It was always a great thing when you can enjoy a learning experience, even when you were pushed as hard as these recruits were. And Karsten was doing just that. We appreciate his positive attitude and all the hard work he put into getting through this academy. Karsten came into the academy with some medical experience, but no previous fire experience. But he didn't show the lack of experience with his test scores, highest in the class, or performance on the drill ground. Karsten was quick to learn and always understood the task that was put in front of him. Even after his hard work on the drill ground, he would always come up and ask, "What can I do better?" He was always looking to improve, to get better, and to give it all that he could. So congratulations, Karsten, on getting through Class 45 Fire Academy. Good job.
Okay, our next adjuncts, our little fella, firefighter Dave Dirkmott, Station 2A.
Hey boys, you made it. I'm proud of you. I know it's been said, but you guys survived a worldwide pandemic. You survived an earthquake, the biggest one since I think 92. I don't even think half of you were born yet. And you're now surviving the most awkward graduation ceremony in the history of the Salt Lake City Fire Academy. Well done, you deserved it. All right, let's get to it. Antonio McIntosh. All right, so we got, Salt Lake City picked up Antonio from West Valley City, so a huge win for us. I'm also former West Valley, so I had high expectations for Antonio, and he did not disappoint at all. Right out the gate, he was a natural leader. We could see it in him. We knew it was there. Antonio was the benchmark by which we kind of measured everybody else in the class. And it was no surprise, honestly, it's no surprise that he's as good as he is. For those that don't know, his dad works for Salt Lake City Fire. I work with him a lot. His dad's a dial dude, he's a hard worker. But unlike his father, I think guys on the job will actually enjoy working with Antonio. That being said, we tasked him as our class officer during our Hell Week, which is the toughest week, and he led flawlessly. We had no issues with him. Everything was handled. And I'm sure when Antonio gets into combat, he'll set the bar by which all other firefighters will be measured as a new guy. We're lucky to have him. He's a great addition to Salt Lake City. Congratulations. Cody Barton. All right, so let's a little background on Cody. Cody is a Sevier County Deputy Sheriff. He is the leader of the search and rescue team. He is the leader of the hazmat team. He's the county emergency manager. He was a volunteer firefighter. And what impressed me most of all, what stood out, that with all those qualifications, he really didn't stand out that much at class at first. It was incredible. But what did stand out is his work ethic. I have no doubt in my mind that Cody did every push-up, every pull-up, every sit-up, every air squat, everything we asked of him was done 100%. There's no doubt that you were going to get the job done and you were going to do it 100% right. And when we watched you on Evolutions, whoever you were paired with, we knew that job was going to get done. You're a great addition to Salt Lake City. And another great thing about you is you're also a social butterfly. And after every evolution, when everybody else was cleaning hose and putting stuff away, Cody would mosey on over to the cadre and strike up a conversation for a couple minutes. And now normally, that's an awesome opportunity for an instructor to say something condescending and to point out how you're not working hard, but unfortunately Cody is such a likable guy, we just kind of stood there and nodded and bit our tongue because we knew you were always working. Congratulations, Cody. I'm glad you're part of this department. Randy Bauer. Boomtown. All right. Some background on Randy. Randy grew up in Shelley, Idaho. To the right of his house was the potato farm. And on the other side of his house was a potato farm. It's weird. He attended Utah State University before becoming a college dropout. And prior to working here, or working for the fire service, he worked at Planet Fitness. Obviously not as a personal trainer, but he does have experience racking equipment and cleaning up bodily fluids of other people. And I can tell you from my experience, that'll come in real handy working on an ambulance. But another great story about Randy and his ability, his effort and desire to go above and beyond is we have dry erase markers, which at some point they'll get worn out and you won't need them anymore. But he had this idea from something he saw on YouTube where you rejuvenate half-used markers. And it involved spinning them, taping them to something and spinning them in a circle, and due to a lack of interest, I really don't care about the rest of it. But we're sitting at the kitchen table and Bauer comes up and his hands are soaked in blue ink. And I remember thinking it looked like you just murdered a Smurf. And he's like trying to explain what happened. And I don't really care because it's just awesome seeing you with blue hands. But he is an incredibly hard worker. He does burpees faster than anybody I've ever seen. It defies physics when you watch it. I don't even understand how it's done. But he was a great leader. He was a great addition to every crew. Required almost no coaching. You'd show or talk about a drill, and Randy would get it right. And there was almost no correction. He did have a lot of follow-up questions. And I knew they weren't stupid questions, because if they were, Captain Jepson would have directed them to me, because I got a lot of stupid answers. But it just showed that he had a desire to learn. He wanted to know more. He wanted to be prepared. He wanted to know, what if in this scenario and that scenario. He wants to be a good firefighter. He's a great addition for South Davis Metro. There's another talented firefighter to add to their arsenal. They're lucky to have him. Congratulations. Okay, thanks for speaking up, Matt Tricarico. Come on up.
Thank you for your service.
Matt, you're part of the fire family now, and I feel like this is a safe place that I can say this. And I say it with all due respect. But the first time I saw you at orientation that night, I was 100% convinced that at some point in your life, you'd probably worn another human being's face as a mask. And after 12 weeks of working with you, I realized I was half wrong to think that. But you are an interesting character, to say the least.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. One of the things that stands out the most to me is you are, without a doubt, one of the mentally toughest individuals I've met in a long time. And it didn't matter what we threw at you guys. And we'd have our PT, and it didn't seem to faze you. And we'd have our after parties, which, for those that don't know, it's our workout after our workout. And it was just designed to be grueling and to be punishment. And it seemed like the harder it was, the more you enjoyed it. And it was awesome to see. You're always positive. I never saw you complain. You worked your tail off. You're another one of our firefighters that when a task was given, we could count that it would be done. And I think you'll be a great addition to any crew. I'm glad that you're part of Salt Lake City Fire. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, boys.
Okay, our next adjunct, Engineer Sam Hill, Sandy Fire, Station 81.
So I too want to thank you guys for this opportunity to be in the class. Congratulations and good luck in your long career. So I'm going to start out with Jacob Zembrunnen. If you didn't understand some of that screaming, he had a nickname, Grandpa. He isn't necessarily the oldest in the class, but I'm not exactly sure why they named him that. But Jacob came with experience as well. He worked out of state and attended some recruit camps before this, and it really showed early on. He was one of the fastest, if not the fastest, to put his turnouts on the very first week of recruit school, which impressed us all. He also was, out of the entire class, I had the opportunity to teach ropes and knots and tested them throughout these recruits throughout the academy. And Jacob was able to do the clove hitch the fastest. He did it in 8 seconds. Jacob's a hard worker. He's kind of put his head down and would go to work. And we never had any issues with him. It was just awesome to have him. And I look forward to having him on B Platoon and Sandy. So, yep. Riley Stewart. So Riley is the youngest here in recruit school. I don't think he ever got a nickname due to the fact that he's the youngest, but should have. With him being the youngest, though, it did not show. It was surprising to us all because he's very mature for being the youngest in the class. He really impressed us all. Something that we learned about Riley, and it was just a couple weeks ago that we learned it, was that when he gets stressed, well, some of the tests that we had, I guess all the tests were pretty stressful on these guys, and when Riley gets stressed, he pulls out his eyebrows. So you can imagine how we figured that out. He's had a couple weeks for some growth, but something else that we learned was that Riley says a lot. We'd catch guys in the recruit class with their hands out, counting whenever Riley would get up and have to speak. I think I got him up to about 19 one time when I was working with him, and I know I missed a whole bunch, but it's good to have you, Riley. Good job, and pleasure to have you in Sandy. Ollie Smith. So, Oliver Smith was pretty anxious prior to class starting and had talked to me a couple times, just due to the fact that his wife was pregnant and she was due in the middle of recruit school. As you can imagine, that's kind of daunting, especially your first child, not knowing what to expect. And I told him I'd let him know everything's going to work out. It'll just be fine. We'll take care of it. First week of recruit school, Captain Jepson gets a phone call, and it's Oliver's wife saying that I think I'm having the baby. So Oliver, first week of school, Oliver had to leave, rush to the hospital, and that weekend his wife had their first child. As you can imagine, that's a pretty hard thing. I know it's like it's daunting, all the unknowns. But every Monday we have tests. So that Monday when he had to come back, when all the recruits had to come back, they had a test. It was their second test of recruit school, and we were kind of wondering, seeing, okay, I wonder how he's going to respond to this. And Oliver scored 96% on that test after his wife had a baby that weekend. And it was... And his test scores continued to stay in the upper 90s. He was one of the highest testers in the entire class. It's a pleasure to have you, Oliver, and good luck. And last, Jack Harrell. So I was the representative from Sandy Fire here in the academy, and Jack is a Sandy employee, so I was a supervisor here. Anytime anyone's ever a supervisor over people, we always tell them, no paperwork. Whatever you do, no paperwork. And Jack didn't listen. Jack made me do the most paperwork out of any of the Sandy firefighters. But it was for good reason. Jack pushed himself while doing a single-man evolution, and he was working super hard. And during the evolution, he cut his finger, and he didn't stop him. He was wearing his gloves still, cut his finger, continued on the evolution. After he cut it, he still went up and climbed up on the roof with a chainsaw, cut a hole in the roof, came down, and when we started to talk to him, he's like, I cut my finger, pulls his glove off, and he's got a big cut right on his finger, ended up getting stitches. And it didn't slow him down. He was one of the fastest for doing the single-man evolution. he was about the third fastest out of the entire class. That just shows the effort and the desire that he has to work hard and to not let anything get in his way. But he did have a rough start there since he made me do multiple pieces of paperwork. So let's not have that continue. And I feel like Jack needs a little bit more help too. That's why he's going to be on my crew when we go back to combat. So thank you guys. Good luck.
Okay, last but not least, Captain Gary Menlove from Salt Lake City Training.
Okay, let's start off with Braden Lindley. Braden, you stood out during class because of your ability and desire to motivate your fellow classmates. So, Braden, you're always vocal with your encouragement you gave your peers during a workout or a difficult evolution, or when things just weren't going right. So, although vocal in times of encouragement, you also knew when it was time to listen. So, you're always engaged in the conversations that we had about a particular subject or skill, and you always seem to be listening, trying to learn everything that you could to make sure you're performing the best on the next go-around. So, Braden also had a knack for taking charge of a situation if direction seemed to be lacking. So, Braden's classmates noticed this equally well, and eventually gave him the nickname of DC. You could probably hear him cheering that on his way up. So, in the fire service, DC stands for Division Chief, which means he's in charge. So, even though the class is poking good-natured fun at you, this is a quality that somebody has to feel throughout a course that is as difficult and demanding as what you have all just completed. So, congratulations, Braden.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I'd like to introduce Kieran Grant. Come on up. So, Kieran is a rather inquisitive individual. Did not hesitate to ask for clarification. So, although you guys might be thinking, he just said Grant asked too many questions. That's not particularly the case. So, every class needs someone that is able and willing to speak up and ask the pertinent questions that the rest of the class is thinking but may be reluctant to ask. So it leads to a better understanding for all. And unlike Bauer, Kieran would ask questions about things that we'd covered in the last 24 hours. I'm sure Bauer's still got a high-rise question right now. I'd also like to speak about Kieran's physical growth. So at the beginning of and end of class, everyone does a fitness level evaluation. So it consists of a variety of feats of strength, but overall, it's just a tool to show everyone the significant gains and losses that they have made throughout the class, and just encourages everyone to keep up an active lifestyle. So Kieran posted amongst the highest gain percentages in every category. It's a true testament to the hard work that you've put in over the last 15 weeks. So keep up the great work, Kieran. Congratulations. Justin Beckstrom, come on up. So Justin's the strong silent type. I don't know that I heard you say more than 50 words. It's always the same 3. Yes, sir, or no, sir. But you listened a lot, and it showed. So your ability to listen to the pros and the cons of evolution that just happened definitely translated into a steady improvement until mid-class, when all of a sudden one day things just clicked. We honestly saw just an overnight transition to where everything seemed to make sense. So from that point forward, it's just a matter of getting better and helping the fellow classmates get through it. Justin also made some huge gains physically throughout the academy. he had one of the highest, or he had the highest percentage increase in the class in pull-ups. So I think you pulled up 2 short of doing double in week 14 versus day 1. That's huge. So congratulations there. So couple that with a huge improvement in the 1.5 mile run, coming in 3rd overall. It just shows that you put in the work. In addition, you are surprisingly nimble. So one morning, Dirk Mott put together an exercise that resembled a circus-style track meet, but it was an exercise based on agility. You all would be absolutely amazed how somebody this tall can stop, touch the ground, and head 180 degrees in the other direction. Just quick, lightning fast. So, congratulations, Justin. You've earned it.
Okay, up next we're going to have the class speaker. Class speaker was chosen by class 45. They've elected to have recruit Cody Barton speak for them.
Good morning. It is my honor and privilege to stand before you today and represent Recruit Class 45. I'd like to begin by expressing our most sincere appreciation to those individuals who, without their commitment to our success, this recruit school would have never made it through completion. Mayor Mendenhall, Chief Lieb, Chief Bassett, Chief Klein, and your staffs, thank you. Chief Carter, Chief Bullock, Captain Jepson, Captain Minlove, Captain Cadence, Captain Sharp and his staff, Facilitator Bell, Captain Argyle, Instructors Dirk Mott and Fitzgerald, Engineers Hell, Sorensen, and Pierce, and all of the other instructors and companies who took time out of their schedules to come and share with us the knowledge, skills, and abilities to be successful firefighters. Thank you. Most importantly, to our families, those who endured these 15 weeks right along with us, who bolstered us up and gave us purpose, pushing us when we didn't think we could go much further. The reason that we fight to go home safely each night. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Hi, kids. A little over 15 weeks ago, we came together as a group of individual new hires representing Sandy, South Davis Metro, and Salt Lake City Fire Departments. We came from diverse backgrounds and a mixed bag of life experience. Together, we became Recruit Class 45, and united, we set off on a journey to achieve what for many of us has been a lifelong dream. That of becoming a professional firefighter. During our orientation, among all of the documentation and procedure, along with being reminded several times that this is absolutely the best job in the world and that we were on the right path, we were presented with some very valuable advice to help us make it through the academy. We were admonished that the stronger we were together, the better we were going to be. We were reminded that the citizens only got one option when they dial 911, so we had better be prepared to provide them the very best that there is. Ultimately, we were encouraged to have an all-in attitude while giving an all-out effort. We chose to adopt this as our motto, and it is reflected on our guidon and was a strong motivating factor throughout. Once camp got started, we learned quickly the importance of paying close attention to the details, both large and small. Whether it was studying concepts and memorizing our fill-in-the-blanks with exactness, or loading our hose beds with efficiency and pride, constant repetition became the norm. From PPE drills to tying knots, throwing ladders to pulling crosslays, we learned that striving for perfection in those sometimes seemingly insignificant details was going to lay the foundation for our success. We were reminded often that you don't just practice until you get it right. Rather, you practice until you don't get it wrong. With that being said, it is often stated that if you're going to make mistakes, make them on the drill ground. We took that to heart. We learned many valuable lessons throughout camp. Some have been mentioned: rubbish hooks, engines, Most notably, what happens when you raise a 40-foot ladder right before a large gust of wind blows across the drill ground. New and shiny, but totally worthless. Along with our drill ground activities, PT was a major part of our daily routine. Major Dick Winters has been quoted as saying that physical stamina is the root of mental toughness. This is a concept not lost on the training cadre in this camp. I believe that I can safely say that over the last few months we have done easily in the thousands of push-ups, air squats, countless up and overs, and you'll have to excuse me if I turn down any future offer to play cards for fear of flashbacks from our deck of cards workouts. I think I speak for all of us, however, in saying that one of the most brutal lessons in physical stamina, aside from our millennial workout during Hell Week, came as a result of having our flag stolen. This was a lesson we only needed to be taught once, as we were required to earn it back. These workouts served a very valuable purpose. Each week as a class, we got stronger. We were able to endure a little longer and made fewer mistakes as a result of fatigue. Each week throughout camp built progressively on the one before. PPE, water supply, and hose drills led to truck ops, ventilation, forcible entry, and search and rescue, high-rise drills, and much more. Each concept a valuable tool in our kit brought together through evolutions and drills that allowed us to see and experience the well-oiled machine that is the fire service. In conclusion, I wish to express just how amazing it has been for me to participate in this experience with such an incredible group. Each and every day we grew stronger together. We became a family. We shared in the joy of a newborn baby and mourned together the loss of a loved one. While the whole world has pretty much come to a standstill around us, we relied on and drew strength from one another. Together we experienced Corona Quake 2020 and a global pandemic. And I can say with surety that I have learned something from each and every one of these recruits. And I've watched with a pride of my own as they have overcome obstacles and challenges and encouraged me to do so myself. As one of the more aged among the group, I spent a lot of time trying to keep up with, and I can wholeheartedly say that I would gladly go into combat with any one of them. Class 45, thank you. Before I finish up, I'd like to invite Trent Christensen to come up. Captain Jepson, if you would. We've got a gift from the class. While they're coming, real quick, Bauer, do you have any questions? Captain Jepson, on behalf of Class 45, I want to thank you, all of the cadre and the staff. Thank you for an amazing class.
Thank you guys. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Okay, up next, we're going to have the presentation for Class 45, Most Outstanding Recruit. Normally, this is done by the training captain, which would be myself, but we have a special person here today. I don't think we've ever had an adjunct out here who was formerly a winner of their Outstanding Recruit Award for their class. From Class 39, Most Outstanding Recruit, Dave Dirkmott.
All right. Thank you, Captain Jepson. All right, so this firefighter, when we went, there was a lot of good guys in this class, okay? And we were trying to decide who we're going to have, who is the most outstanding recruit, and there's a few things that set this individual apart. They had the highest test scores, written test scores of the entire class, and that's no easy feat. They had earned 2 exceptionals on their weekly reviews, and those are tough to get. This individual had never seen PPE prior to his first day on the job, which was amazing how fast they picked it up. This person always wanted to burn if there was an extra burn or one more drill or one more evolution. He always wanted to work hard. He was always someone we could count on. And I think we're proud to extend this Outstanding Recruit Award to firefighter Carson Smith. There you go, buddy. Nailed it.
Okay, it's time for the swearing in and badge pinning portion of the graduation ceremony. We're going to start with South Davis Metro Fire Department. So if we could have the family members and the chief and the executive staff in for the badge pinning. Thank you.
It's a great day.
You guys go ahead up front. Just stand on the little tape marks. We'll just wait till they're family members.
Yep.
So have your family members just stand one at a time. Okay? So whoever's spinning for Recruit Bauer will be first, Recruit Smith, Recruit Allen.
Okay. Great. You ready? All right. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Randy Bauer Smith,
Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of Utah,
the Constitution of Utah,
and the regulations and policies of South Davis Metro Fire.
and the regulations and policies of South Davis Metro Fire.
I pledge to provide the highest level of service
I pledge to provide the highest level of service
in the most professional manner at all times,
in the most professional manner at all times,
with dedication and pride to the public we serve.
with dedication and pride to the public we serve.
I will faithfully execute my duties as firefighter
I will faithfully execute my duties as firefighter
with fidelity
with fidelity
and support my fellow firefighters.
and support my fellow firefighters.
Congratulations. Welcome to Metro Fire.
Thank you. South Davis, go ahead and exit the room. We'll bring in Sandy City.
Sandy City swearing in and badge pinning. So if we could have the recruits and Chief Klein and executive staff for Sandy, please.
We'll pin one at a time, starting with recruit arrows.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brandon Smith,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey,
that I will support, obey,
and defend the Constitution of the United States,
and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the laws and ordinances of Sandy City,
the laws and ordinances of Sandy City,
and I will discharge my duties as a firefighter with fidelity.
and I will discharge my duties as a firefighter with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, we will now do Salt Lake City Group 1 badge pinning and swearing in. We need Chief Lieb and Chief Fox swearing in, please. Thank you.
Do the batch thing one at a time, starting with recruitment.
Okay, you ready to do this? Okay, each of you raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear and affirm. Faithfully and honestly. Perform all my duties. To the best of my ability. To uphold and follow. The high standards and values. Of the Salt Lake City Fire Department. And to protect the lives and property. Of the public I am sworn to serve. Congratulations, Salt Lake City Fire Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Salt Lake City swearing in and badge pinning. Could have those members please come in.
Do the batch pinning one at a time, starting with recruiting.
Okay, we ready?
Yes,
Okay, gentlemen, raise your right hand. after me. I state your name.
I, Matthew Minister,
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
do solemnly swear and affirm,
Faithfully and honestly.
faithfully and honestly,
Perform all of my duties.
perform all of my duties
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
To uphold and follow.
Uphold and follow
The high standards and values.
the high standards and values
Of the Salt Lake City Fire Department.
of the Salt Lake City Fire Department.
And to protect the lives and property.
To protect the lives and property
Of the public I am sworn to serve.
of the public I am sworn to serve.
Congratulations, Salt Lake City firefighters.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Congratulations, Class 45. From this day forward, no longer recruits. Sworn firefighters for your respective departments, Salt Lake City, Sandy, and South Davis Metro. Congratulations to you all. Okay, this concludes today's ceremony, Class 45 graduation. Thanks everyone for joining us live and also the live feed. Appreciate everybody being here. Drive home safe. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.